Hey friends, today's topic is on the Antaeus nerf and what that means for the future meta. This is going to be a more podcast discussion style video where the background gameplay is nonsensical and has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Okay, so the Antaeus nerf was substantial. You lose the enhanced slide, and if you do build up the Antaeus reflect shield, if they put a single bullet into it, you lose your entire barricade, and having the barricade fully charged is tied to using the reflect shield. So before the nerf, obviously if you wanted to win, you would throw on Antaeus ward. But that is a very substantial nerf to the point where they're definitely going to switch. So the question is, what are they going to switch to next? Is it going to be something else on Titan, or something else entirely, like playing a Warlock or a Hunter? So I'll go ahead and give you my Titan picks first, then we'll talk about the general meta, which involves Warlock and Hunter. For Titan, number 1 is still probably going to be Peacekeeper SMG, bonus points if you play controller. Even with the SMG stability nerf, I still think that having the extra movement speed with the barricade to cut space and the shoulder charge to break an ankle here and there, it enables a very aggressive SMG playstyle, which is the only way to play an SMG, and they're really strong. That being said, 120 RPM hand cannons are probably M&K's winning formula, so I would just say the number 2 suggestion is to go to Dunes or Synthoceps. And I know Synthoceps are going to get nerfed, but they still do enable melee playstyles, which go hand in hand with hand cannon shotgun. You may be thinking Peregrine Greaves, but with conditional finality shotgun existing and giving a realistic counter to Bubble and Well, which is a separate video by the way, those should be nerfed, not conditional finality. Then we can talk about conditional finality. But you would think Peregrine Greaves. However, with the strict having to be in the air part of the shoulder charge, I would rather just use conditional finality and have a more useful exotic for the rest of the match. I will say though, on the subject of Peregrine Greaves, if you can use like a sidearm or a last word with the snipe on controller, Peregrine Greaves will still be very strong and still give you a pocket counter to a Bubble or a Well. Next up on my list at number 3 is Crest of Alpha Lupi with the Void Barricade. The Void Overshield Barricade is 40 HP worth of Overshield, and then Crest gives an additional chunk of health to your entire team, not just yourself like it is with Worm Husk Hunter. And so you can think of it as, if you are absolute and you throw the Void Barricade down, you are completely resetting that gunfight. Also, assuming you're using Bubble, it's going to drop an extra orb, which will help your team snowball to getting supers first and possibly winning the match before your opponents can even respond. This brings me to the number 4 suggestion, which is One-Eyed Mask or Precious Scars, depending on what is more applicable. And yes, this can also work on Arc Titan instead of just playing Void. So you can combine this with the number 3 suggestion and have a Crest of Alpha Lupi Titan or 2, and then the third is OEM or Precious Scars, and combining all of that healing together with some individual prowess is maybe better than having 3 Crest Titans. But 3 Crest Titans is also still just very good. My number 5 suggestion is Armamentarium with Scatternades. I've recently used Scatternades, and they're pretty easy, maybe the best bang for your buck value out of all the grenades. So you can run them with Weaken and Controlled Demolition, and for good measure, might as well throw Firepower on your arm slot so you can make an Orb of Light after a grenade kill, or even some other fragments that can assist in proccing Devour and more overshields and that type of thing. It just goes crazy, especially if you think a team could potentially have 6 of them, kind of like how Arc Titan can have 6 Lightning Nades at the start of a round. My final Titan suggestion is going to be Lion Rampant with Dead Man's Tail. It's a little bit stepped on by a 120 having similar range to a scout rifle, but you are able to play in the air very freely and create space, and maybe as a result get out of shotgun lethal distance, which means you're able to play your primary. For this case, I suggest playing on Strand so you can utilize both the grapple and the melee as a pseudo dodge. Now, considering all 6 of those suggestions, you might not have liked what you heard. You go, nah, that's way too much thinking. Antaeus was so much better than all those. And you might be right. So let's consider the general meta. Starting with number 1, Dawnblade with standard exotics. That means transversive steps, Ophidian aspect. Use conditional with Igneous Hammer, and then you spam healing. Anytime you're even remotely scared, healing nade at your feet, throw a rift. And if your entire team plays this game plan, it's very strong. If you're going to be playing Dawnblade anyway, make sure you have a swap to a floating scout rifle, and also double grenade launcher with the Rain of Fire exotic to reload Fighting Lion as quick as possible, and maybe also throw a bow in there. And if you're playing all of those, you are set up for no matter what you see on the enemy team, you have a good answer that makes them not want to play anymore. My number 2 suggestion is going to be Strand Hunter, and as of now, I think there are 4 distinct builds, and if I say them, maybe you know. It's Walla's build, Frostbolt's build, Drewski's build, and what I call Bow CE, or what you see on the Australia/Asia servers of just hitting somebody with a bow and spamming threadling nades and clones. The Walla build is, of course, grapple with stompies and dive to get in. Frostbolts is more the Cert-Arachnid interactions, where you can get a kill to create a tangle, which then you can grapple to it, pick it up, or shoulder charge, or throw the rope dart. There's just a toolbox of options with the Cert-Arachnid setup. Similarly, Drewski's build uses the 6 Coyote to either have clones or the dive. And I think those are the 4 distinct Strand Hunter loadouts, and they're all very strong and very overtuned. Number 3 for general meta is going to be Shadebinder with conditional finality and cold snaps, and you don't even have to run Osmiomancy. Osmiomancy makes it a little bit better, but you could still run transversive steps and even snap cancel your melee if you want the extra movement. Because the super energy fragment got nerfed, I do recommend playing this with a bubble teammate or 2, so that way you're guaranteed to at least have a super, and once you have a super, you can definitely close out the game on Shadebinder. So the idea is you run conditional finality to proc Ice Flare bolts, so a shotgun kill gives you a free cold snap. That's what it plays like. And then you have the freeze rift for if a shotgunner gets too close, maybe you're out of shotgun ammo, or maybe you want to proc Swashbuckler on a bow or something like that. Coming in at number 4 suggestion is Voidlock with standard exotics. Again, T-Steps or Ophidians, but in this case you also can go Astrocyte, or maybe even Necrotic Grip. I want to mention that Thorn goes crazy here with or without Necrotic, because you can pick up an orb to get Devour, which frees up your boot mod slots to run triple Kinetic Surge, so that Soul Devourer can 2-tap any resilience. So the combination of Thorn tick damage with Child of the Old Gods flying in to continue hitting tick damage makes for some very easy cleanups that, yes, you just proc Devour and go crazy. It's a very, very strong and obvious build. The next one is Strand Warlock with Weavelock. That comes in at number 5, and as a community we kind of forgot about Weavelock, but it's still here. It's still really, really good. However, conditional finality exists, so don't pop Weavelock and teabag your way towards somebody. It's not going to work. What you do is use it to get out of jail, run away, and then if they do chase you, you throw a rift down and the entire Threadling army finishes them. Number 6 is Invis Hunter with a grenade launcher. You're probably going to associate this with grenade launcher to Rat King swap with Mechaneers, and it is very effective, although it's really just the grenade launcher that makes that crazy. Bonus points if you knew you could use the scroll wheel to activate your Hunter ability jump, and it does not give your opponent the sound cue, so they have no idea they're about to be hit over the head with a grenade launcher. Okay, my final meta suggestion at number 7 is Mask of Bakris. 2 options here. It's either you're on controller and use Snipe and Trespasser, or maybe Peacepawn, something like that, Peacepawn Cloud Strike. And then on mouse and keyboard, I recommend just going the standard hand cannon shotgun option with maybe conditional finality and something like Cantata. That's really consistent with Suro Synergy. I've been preaching the anti-flinch lately, but it's fantastic. If there's anything else in the game that makes you say, why aren't people running this more often? Let me know in the comment section. I can already think of a couple extra ones, like, I don't know, Stag with Void Souls. Then we also have Secant Filaments with Void. For Solar Hunter, we have Arthrus's Embrace, maybe Caliban spam. There's just so many options in this game, it's hard to narrow down what the future meta is going to be. I was going based off, someone who can realistically go flawless if they want to, and maybe they have to carry a friend. What are they throwing on to make that carry go easier? Could be Renewal Grasp, Knucklehead Radar, the list is gonna go on. So I'm curious what y'all come up with. I hope you learned something new in this video and appreciate my meta insights. I will try to make faster production videos like this just to get something out there, because I'm still a one-man operation here and really just have to choose, is it worth putting a pretty reference clip when y'all know exactly what I'm talking about and can trust that it is going to get the job done. Thanks everybody.